Could a simple nursery rhyme hold a hidden link to real historical figures, one of whom was infamous for insanity? And could an ancient manuscript prove that this rhyme is far older than we ever imagined? In this video, we'll uncover the true origins of I Had a Little Nut Tree. You'll discover how this seemingly innocent rhyme may have been inspired by political intrigue, forbidden alliances, and a dynasty teetering on the edge of chaos. We'll explore how it could be a coded reference to a queen whose legacy was shaped by betrayal and madness, and delve into the mystery of a medieval manuscript that could rewrite everything we thought we knew about its origins. But be warned, once you learn the truth, you'll never hear this rhyme the same way again. Welcome back, Darklings. Before we dive into its shocking secrets, let's take a moment to revisit the most familiar version of this intriguing rhyme. I had a little nut tree, nothing would it bear, but a silver nutmeg and a golden pear. The King of Spain's daughter came to visit me, and all for the sake of my little nut tree. Her dress was made of crimson, jet black was her hair. She asked me for my nutmeg and my golden pear. I said, "So fair a princess never did I see. I'll give you all the fruit from my little nut tree." Most nursery rhymes, much like fairy tales, were not originally intended for children. They began as old folk songs, passed down orally through generations, and were only later adapted for children during the 18th and 19th centuries, when the collection and preservation of such songs became fashionable. Although this particular rhyme first appeared in print in 1797 in the newest Christmas box, it is widely believed to be much older. The version first recorded in 1797 is nearly identical to the one we know today, but it includes an additional verse. I skipped over ocean, I danced over sea, and all the birds in the air couldn't catch me. One of the most compelling theories behind I Had a Little Nut Tree suggests that this seemingly innocent rhyme is actually a coded reflection of a princess's arrival in England, one that ignited a power struggle, fueled ambition, and placed a dynasty on the edge of ruin. But who was she, and what secrets does the rhyme really hold? In 1501, a Spanish princess left behind the sun-drenched plains of Castile and set sail for the cold, misty shores of England. She was bound for a future that had been decided for her since infancy, a marriage to a prince she had never met. This was the fate of Catherine of Aragon, just 15 years old. Betrothed to Prince Arthur of England, her marriage had been arranged to seal a powerful alliance between Spain and the newly established Tudor dynasty. The wedding was a grand spectacle, held at St. Paul's Cathedral on November 14, 1501, a union celebrated as the dawn of a golden age between the two kingdoms. Yet, within months, that future crumbled. Arthur, also 15, fell gravely ill at Ludlow Castle, where he and Catherine had been sent to rule as Prince and Princess of Wales. The exact cause of his death remains a mystery. Some say sweating sickness, others tuberculosis. But whatever the illness, it claimed his life in April 1502. Catherine, now a widow, found herself stranded in a foreign land, her carefully arranged marriage over before it had even begun. Under normal circumstances, Catherine would have been sent back to Spain, her marriage declared void, and her dowry returned. But Henry VII, Arthur's father, had already received half of her dowry, 100,000 crowns, and had no intention of giving it back. Though the exact modern equivalent is difficult to determine, 100,000 crowns would be worth around £15 million today, a staggering sum that King Henry was unwilling to part with. At first, the 44-year-old king proposed a shocking solution. He would marry Catherine himself, but her parents, Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, were horrified. They refused outright, seeing the match as both improper and politically insulting. So, a new plan emerged. Catherine would remain in England until Arthur's younger brother, Prince Henry, was old enough to marry her. It was a clever arrangement. Spain's alliance would be preserved, and the money would remain in English hands. Yet Henry VII continued to delay the marriage for years. Ferdinand of Spain insisted that if Catherine was to remain in England and marry Prince Henry, the outstanding 100,000 crowns should be wiped from the agreement. Henry VII, however, refused to let go of either the alliance or the full payment, creating a deadlock that left Catherine stranded in uncertainty. It was only upon Henry VII's death in 1509 that everything changed. The new king, Henry VIII, just 17 years old, wasted no time. Within weeks of taking the throne, he married Catherine, finally fulfilling the promise that had been delayed for so long. At 23, she was crowned Queen of England, though Spain never did pay the remaining dowry. Therefore, one of the most popular theories for the origins of I Had a Little Nut Tree suggests that it reflects Catherine's arrival in England and the political struggle that followed. In Tudor times, nutmeg was worth more than gold. It could only be grown on the remote Banda Islands in Indonesia, and European merchants fought wars over its control. The difficulty of obtaining nutmeg made it a luxury item for the nobility and the extremely wealthy. Pears, by contrast, were widely grown in England, but the best varieties were imported, and Spanish pears were considered a delicacy. The fact that the nutmeg and pear are described as silver and gold suggests they are being used as symbols of vast wealth and power, things Henry VII was eager to acquire through his son's marriage to Catherine. Fruit and nuts have long been symbols of fertility, but to fully understand their meaning in this rhyme, we need to look at 16th century slang rather than modern connotations. In the 1500s, nut was sometimes used as a euphemism for the head of a penis, adding a rather suggestive undertone to the imagery. Meanwhile, nutmeg was believed to be a powerful aphrodisiac, thought to enhance fertility and increase sexual stamina. This raises the intriguing possibility that I Had a Little Nut Tree carries a cheeky double meaning, a playful, suggestive nod to royal lineage and the expectation to produce heirs. The nut tree in the rhyme could therefore represent a royal family line, carefully cultivated in the hope of producing strong, valuable fruit, or heirs to the throne. If the rhyme does reference Catherine, then it could represent the immense pressure placed on her to produce heirs. If the rhyme originated after Catherine's marriage to Henry VIII, it may also reflect the tension and uncertainty surrounding her inability to provide a surviving male heir. Despite multiple pregnancies, she suffered several miscarriages and stillbirths, and her only surviving child was Mary I. This failure to produce a male heir ultimately led to Henry VIII's infamous break from Rome, the annulment of their marriage, and his pursuit of a new wife in Anne Boleyn, a decision that would change the course of English history. But there was another Spanish princess whose visit to England left an unforgettable mark on history, one whose fate took a far darker turn. Shortly after her visit, she would be known to the world as the Mad Queen. But was she truly mad? Or was there something far more sinister at play? James Orchard Halliwell suggested that I Had a Little Nut Tree commemorates the 1506 visit of Catherine of Aragon's sister, Joanna of Castile, to the English court. Joanna's arrival in England was not planned. Her ship was forced ashore by a storm while travelling from Flanders to Spain, and she found herself an unexpected guest at the court of Henry VII. Seizing the opportunity, Henry used her presence to negotiate trade and political alliances, hoping to strengthen England's position in European affairs. Some historians believe the golden pear and silver nutmeg in the rhyme symbolised the riches Spain was amassing from its growing empire, which England was eager to tap into. Spain, thanks to its sponsorship of Columbus, was reaping the rewards of the New World's resources, something Henry VII regretted missing out on. During her visit, Joanna's husband, Philip the Handsome of Burgundy, struck a deal with Henry VII, signing the Treaty of Windsor, a calculated move that sought to sideline Ferdinand of Aragon entirely. As part of the agreement, Henry formally recognised Philip and Joanna as the rightful rulers of Castile, directly undermining Joanna's father and shifting the balance of power in Spain. Given Henry's already fraught relationship with Ferdinand, this was a major diplomatic victory for Henry, but it was fleeting. Just months later, everything unravelled. Philip died suddenly in 1506, sparking rumours that Joanna's father, Ferdinand, had poisoned him to regain control of Castile. His death plunged Joanna into grief, but it was her reaction that truly shocked those around her. Joanna was deeply in love with Philip, but his constant infidelities had tormented her, leading to fits of jealousy and despair, sometimes escalating into violent public outbursts. But it was after his death that her behaviour became legendary. Pregnant with their sixth child, she refused to bury Philip, instead travelling across Castile with his coffin, convinced he would return to life at any moment. Some accounts even claim she regularly opened the coffin to embrace his corpse, a haunting image that would cement her legacy as Joanna the Mad. After Philip's death, Joanna attempted to rule Castile alone, but her father, Ferdinand, quickly seized control. Declaring her mentally unfit, he locked her away in the royal palace of Tordesillas and ruled as regent in her place. When Ferdinand died in 1516, Joanna should have become queen in her own right. Instead, her son, Charles V, continued to keep her imprisoned, ruling Spain and the Holy Roman Empire as if she did not exist. She reportedly became paranoid, believing the nuns caring for her were trying to kill her. In her final years, she refused to eat, bathe, or even change her clothes. She remained in confinement for 46 years, until her death in 1555. Historians still debate whether Joanna truly suffered from mental illness, or whether her so-called madness was just politically convenient for the men in her life. Some suggest she may have had severe depression, schizophrenia or psychosis, possibly inherited from her grandmother, Isabella of Portugal, who was also confined for instability. Others argue that her emotional distress was a reasonable response to the betrayal of nearly everyone around her. But back to the rhyme. In the 1500s, nutmeg was more than just a luxury spice. It was steeped in mysticism and medicinal lore. It was believed to calm the nerves, relieve anxiety, and even prevent insanity, an ironic detail if the rhyme really refers to Joanna of Castile. Nuts themselves were often used as visual metaphors for secrets, with their hard shells concealing something valuable inside. Given the dreamlike quality of the rhyme, some believe it hints at Joanna's confinement, the political intrigue surrounding her, and the question of whether she was truly mad or merely silenced. While both the Catherine of Aragon and Joanna of Castile theories have compelling points, personally, I have one issue. The rhyme describes the princess as having jet black hair. Yet both Catherine and Joanna were fair-skinned with light hair, though it's possible this detail could have changed over time as the rhyme lost its original meaning. But there's another issue. During my research, I came across a manuscript that might prove the rhyme is far older than either of these figures. The Sloane Manuscript 2593 is a remarkable collection of Middle English and Latin songs and carols, currently housed in the British Library. Dating to around 1450, it preserves a fascinating glimpse into the music and poetry of the medieval world, including a song that may well be the earliest known version of I Had a Little Nut Tree. Middle English is a little difficult to understand, so here is a modern translation. I have a new garden, and new it has begun. Such another garden I know not under the sun. In the middle of my garden, a pear tree is set, and it will not bear, but a single pear lent. The fairest maid of this town prayed me to graft her a graft of my pear tree. The phrase pear lent likely means a single pear, symbolising something rare and precious. The graft refers to the maiden asking for a cutting of the tree, but this song could also have a romantic, double meaning. In Middle English poetry, gardens were often symbols of love, purity, and longing. This song appears to be a courtly love story, where the garden and tree represent the speaker's heart or virtue, and the maiden asking for a graft suggests she is seeking his love or devotion. The similarities to I Had a Little Nut Tree are undeniable. Both feature a fruit-bearing tree that is desired by a female figure, and both have a dreamlike, romantic quality. If this 1450 song is indeed the origin of the nursery rhyme, then it is far older than Catherine of Aragon or Joanna of Castile, meaning those theories, while still possible, may actually be later adaptations. Older folk songs were often repurposed, with lyrics changed over time to reflect contemporary events. It's entirely possible that an existing medieval song was altered to commemorate Joanna's visit or Catherine's royal marriage. But regardless of its true meaning, what I find remarkable is that this song first appeared in a manuscript in 1450, yet didn't resurface in print for nearly 350 years, meaning it was likely preserved entirely through word of mouth until 1797. When I make these videos, I often see comments from people doubting that nursery rhymes could predate their first published versions. But I think this rhyme proves beyond a doubt that many of them are far older than we realise. But I'd love to hear what you think. Where do the true origins of this rhyme lie? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if your thirst for nursery rhyme origins still lingers, be sure to subscribe and explore the rest of my channel. See you in a future video.